We're here for the first Trust the Vet series. How are you, Dr. Nick, today?
I am great, really well. Rachel, it's great to see you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really, well, everybody on podcasts, everybody says, I'm really excited to do such and such. So I'm going to say I'm really looking forward to delving into some of the massive benefits of the whole bone broth story. It's an untold, and it's been unfashionable for possibly 100 years, but there's been a renaissance of recognition that bone broth is just incredibly healthy for us and for our pets. So I'm keen to get into it, very much so. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Honestly, I'm so excited to have you on, Dr. Nick, because the bone broth has been my world for like the last 8 years. You probably know my health story. I transformed my own health. I lost 6 stone having broth in my diet. I know. Wow. I transformed my health. I had a health condition and completely reversed it within 12 weeks. So it's been transformational for me in so many different ways. And from one slow cooker, I started making broth, and now we've got a factory. So I definitely know there is a demand, there's a growing demand, particularly around the world, for wellness for everybody's family. People are looking more now to go back to their natural roots, trying to get away from this synthetic world that we're living in. And I think really bone broth is the pinnacle of that, because it's a nutraceutical. It has so many amazing health benefits. And this is why I'm delighted to have you on, Nick, because we are going to talk bone broth. And and I want to know, Nick, you're an amazing vet. You've been around this space for such a long time. You're a big raw feeding advocate. You're all about natural health as well, for the family, for your pets. So Dr. Nick, I would love to hear from you. Why do you recommend bone broth for dogs?
Well, I think there's 1,000 ways to answer that question, but perhaps one of the easiest ways is to say they love it, right? There are very, very few dogs who will turn their nose up at bone broth. So if we're being kind of nicey, it's just delicious and they love it. Okay. The next thing to say is that it's so versatile. Yeah, you can use it in pups, you can use it in pregnant bitches, you can use it in the healthy dog, you can use it in the sick dog, you can use it in the dehydrated dog, you can use it in the senior. There are very few conditions where you wouldn't. Okay, and even those, it's not the science is not absolutely crystal clear. I'm talking about histamine. Okay, but we'll get into that. That's no problem at all. From a clinical perspective, there are many ways that we can use bone broths, and there is science which is established, and more science coming along in the human and the animal field to tell us to reinforce what people have known for tens or hundreds of thousands of years. So yeah, lots of really great uses.
So with bone broth, for me, my own health journey, it was very much about digestive health. And, we have a lot of people that contact us now, for their dogs who are really suffering with poor digestive health, and digestive health can show in a variety of different symptoms. It could be constipation, it could be diarrhea, it could just be bloating, So would you say that, as a vet, that those people that are coming in to you with their dogs, that you would say, well, get them on the broth, would that be your go-to thing for them?
My go-to would be to put them on a raw food diet, but as part of a good raw food diet, bone broth, for me, it's integral, because you put in your mouth has superpowers and weaknesses. Water is absolutely essential, but it has 0 calories. If you just ate protein, you could survive for quite a long time, but if you're not taking water, you're not going to. So pros and cons to absolutely everything. So with bone broth, it is replete with all sorts of, you know, collagen, gelatin, glycosaminoglycans, all these posh sounding things, but basically it's just stunningly good for you. But when you combine that with a raw food diet, or even a lightly cooked diet at a push, anything that's not ultra processed food, they can combine. And so the synergy of the raw food and the bone broth allows you to treat, allows me as a vet, or you at home, you know, you don't need to be a vet to be able to instigate these kind of things, allows you a world of health possibility that you never thought possible. Yeah, your dog might be perfectly happy, 5 years old, eating ultra processed kibble and cans all their lives, and you think, well, what's the point in going the extra mile? What's the point in looking at bone broth? What's the point in going for a fresh or a raw food diet? The answer to that is just try it. Just try it for a couple of weeks, and you will see improvements in teeth, in digestion, in ear health and ear smell. The coat will, most kibble dogs that I see have a kind of a slightly greasy, slightly sad coat. You know, it's not a vibrant coat. And going on to raw food and bone broth, you can actually see, wow, my dog is shining. You know, they were okay for, you know, 2 weeks ago, and now they're shining. All right, greater energy, better poos. You know, and the poo thing is revolutionary. Even within 48 hours, going from a kibble diet to a raw food diet, some people will say within 48 hours, and I've actually seen it clinically, that you will suddenly, that they will be producing the really, really, where's my pen? Pick upable poos. Okay, this okay, you can pick up the poo with 2 fingers, whereas before you were kind of going like this, you know, it's disgusting. So it's the wrong question to ask me, because I'm just gonna blast you with all the benefits that I see when we combine these two superfoods, super phenomenon, 2 nutrition phenomena. When we combine those, we 10x the potential that we can get. Yeah, raw food, amazing. Bone broth, amazing. Put them together and you go 10x. So really exciting, and dogs absolutely love it. You know, it's a win-win. It is a no-brainer win-win scenario. I don't want to sound too gushy about the whole thing, but I will, because I think it's an absolute game changer.
Nick, you know, I totally agree with you, right? Because, you know, we sit on the other side of the fence here as well, you know, where you know, people often contact us when their dogs are unwell. I'm sure as a vet, that's, you know, the time that you get to engage with people is when their dogs are unwell. And then when you have an email that comes in, you know, 4 weeks later, and they say, you know, I've switched my dog to raw, I've been giving my dog bone broth every day, and you know, this is what's happened to them. You know, they are better in their energy, they've got a shinier coat, they're just happier in general. You know, it's like a no-brainer. But it, you know, it's so interesting, isn't it, Nick? Because we see this in the human side of the world as well, you know, where people might be really sick because they've got a high processed diet, they're taking like a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, or they just got an unnatural lifestyle, and as soon as they take the unnatural side of their life away and switch to more natural, they're feeling better, they're sleeping better, you know. And it's just we you know, we're beings, we're living beings, and we're not meant to live off of synthetic foods that are created, you know, mass manufacturing plants. You know, we are meant to go back to our roots. We're earthy people, we're meant to eat from the land. You know, animals were gifted to us to eat, and therefore we should be going back to that way. And it's so sad because it has changed so much, but you know, this is the point of change. And I think that, you know, as you know, people in this space, you know, there are lots of great leaders in this space who are making change. And Nick, you know, we've spoken a bit about dogs here, but we do have a lot of cat customers as well. You know, we're seeing more of an emerging market for cats too, who, you know, similar issues, digestion, you know, joints, ligaments. Again, cats are naturally, you know, dehydrated. They're not getting that fluid. So is it the same for cats as what it is for dogs?
It's exactly the same for cats. If we look at some of the benefits from feeding, just from a kind of scientific perspective, you can look at dogs and cats. You know, at college you get taught a cat is not just a small dog. Okay, there are distinct differences, but as far as bone broth is concerned, and to a certain extent raw food feeding, they're very, very, very similar. Okay, and so let's just go through a list of what are the potential benefits to cats. And one of the main ones for cats, less so in dogs, is the dehydration. If you're feeding your cat on an ultra processed kibble diet, as you say, they are going to be subclinically dehydrated, because cats were designed to eat juicy mice, juicy frogs, juicy lizards, juicy rats, juicy this, that, and the other. Okay, they were not designed, they're desert creatures, they're not designed to eat 6%, 7% moisture kibble. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, just as you don't eat dry food like all day long. You might have a cracker with some cheese, you might have another dried thing that I can't think of, you know, just dried food. We humans tend not to eat dry material. Okay, you know, there's that challenge. Can you eat what is it like 3 big crackers in 1 minute? Okay, you know, you eat the first one, that takes all your saliva away, you try the second one, it's a thing. Maybe it's a boy thing from when I was at school. You just, it's virtually impossible to do because you get it into your mouth. So that, and I've never used that analogy before actually, but it's a brilliant analogy, though I say it myself. It says that dried food is great for the convenience of the owner, but actually most owners would prefer that the food was engineered for the benefit of the dog, not the convenience of the owner. Okay, so therefore bone broth every day for cats, brilliant idea. Okay, so coming back to what I was going to say, so if and I can give you a lot more detail, but let's just have a look. So joint health, there, because of the collagen, gelatin, and the glycosaminoglycans. These are kind of the really important cartilaginous molecules that makes your cartilage firm but slightly soft, a little bit of give. Okay, glycosaminoglycans. I love saying that word. I learned it when I was at college, and I just thought, oh, I love that word. And these are the chondroitin sulfates, hyaluronic acid, you know, things that make up the synovial fluid and things like that. There's actually a study in the Journal of Nutrition which suggests that collagen is very important in reducing joint pain. So there is science behind that whole thing. Oh, my joints are better. Okay, and all dogs, all cats, all humans get arthritis type problems as they get older, degenerative joint disease. It is inevitable. Okay, it's one of those things that everybody's going to see sooner or later if they are blessed with being able to live long enough. Yeah, okay. So also gut health, there's some science to suggest that you know, things like the glutamine and the gelatin, they actually help to promote the intestinal integrity, yeah, which is the opposite of leaky gut. Okay, we can talk about that a lot. Another one of the wonderful things about the bone broth is it has a general reduction in inflammation, because glycine, for example, is very important as an anti-inflammatory. Okay, so we all live in a very pro-inflammatory world. Okay, stress and phthalates and plastics and microplastics and, you know, flame retardants on the sofa, you know, it's just everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Okay, bone broth is known scientifically to help skin and coat. Okay, and who doesn't want, you know, a good skin and coat? And that's kind of a collagen and amino acid orientated help. Okay, and then finally this thing about hydration, but it's not just getting liquid into them, it's getting electrolytes into them as well. Okay, so it really helps with cats with kidney disease, dogs post exercise, helps with calcium and phosphorus and magnesium and sodium and chloride. All these things are there. It's nature's rehydration preparation, if you like.
Yeah, I love that, Nick. I love that, because we often say, you know, particularly in the warmer temperatures, that broth is actually really good for dogs and cats because of the electrolytes in there. Now, Nick, we you know, we're sort of asked quite a lot at, you know, various different questions at Boil and Broth, and you know, people obviously come to us with, you know, issues with their dog. Is it okay to give my dog, you know, broth if it's got CKD, or you know, what are the sodium levels of bone broth, all this sort of stuff. So I just wanted to ask you, in your experience, is there ever been a situation where, you know, a dog just absolutely shouldn't have broth? Do you know of any? Like, it's okay if you don't, because in my experience of 7 years, I haven't come across any, but you're the expert here, and I just wanted to throw that open to you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Theoretically, bone broth has a histamine content. Okay, and so theoretically it can make some dogs itch, but I've never really seen it. Okay, that's number one. And number two is, if you give your dog a beef bone broth and they get itchy, you just stop giving them beef bone broth and you move to a chicken or a venison or some other bone broth. Yeah, surely. You know, so I would say theoretically that is you'll hear people go on about it all the time, but in reality that is the only theoretical, remember, in theory a bumblebee shouldn't fly. Okay, according to science a bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly. Aerodynamics and wings are too small and all that kind of stuff. So science is clever, but it sometimes doesn't gel with the real world. Okay, and so I think that I would use it in most situations.
Yeah, I like that, Nick. I like that, because that makes a lot of sense to me too. You know, if the people come to us and they've got, you know, they've had their dog's had a reaction with the broth, then we say, yeah, absolutely, try a different protein, you know, because why not? You know, a lot of dogs are intolerant to beef and chicken, so give them again protein, you know, something that's gentler on the stomach. And the other thing we always suggest is, if the dog's new to bone broth, to introduce it slowly. But we're sort of running out of time here, Nick. But I wanted to ask you, as a vet, you know, what do you look out for in a good broth?
What do I look out for?
Yeah.
I think the important things is to make sure that the bones are well sourced, that they don't come from, you know, in the States especially, but in the UK as well, from a kind of concentrated animal feed operation. You're not using battery chicken bones, for example, which would be dead cheap, and some manufacturers, I'm sure, may use the cheapest materials they possibly can. So that would be something that I would try and move away from. If we can use the cleanest pasture raised, that would be an ideal. If we can find organic, so a lot of companies I work with, they use mainly pasture raised and organic material, but because they can't say 100% is absolutely organic, they're unable to say that their product is organic officially. Okay, even though it might be 99% organic. Yeah, so I think organic is important, and if one can support regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is a form of farming which is kind of the antithesis of modern agricultural methods. Okay, so modern agriculture is based on chemicals, on pesticides, on herbicides, on all these chemical inputs, if you stop putting those inputs in, you can then, and you use cattle and animals and rotation of the arable side as well, you can actually grow soil. Okay, some people are like that because they think it actually does fix carbon. That's another question, but it does fix carbon very effectively. And so I think to support those through our choice of sourcing is really, really important. So if I'm choosing, those would be some of the main characteristics of the bone broths that I'd be looking for.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks so much for that, Nick. Now, Nick, we want to know how to use bone broth. So you've obviously got dogs.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, what are some of the ways that you can use bone broth that you'd love to share with everybody?
I will, but I'm think because we've had about 20 minutes right now, I'm going to save that. This is a teaser, okay? I'm going to save how to use bone broth for part 2 in just 1 second.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. All right, cool. Well, catch up to you next time. And everybody, if you love this episode with Dr. Nick, then stay tuned for the next episode. Yeah, coming live. So, well, not coming live because we're not live, but we're pre-recorded. You know what I mean.
We are alive, though.
We are alive.
We are alive. Brilliant.
So.
Listen, Rachel, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much. Really look forward to catching up with you again.
All right, amazing. Thanks for now, Nick. Bye for now.